Yeah, so we have always been a very global company. I mean, last year we had about 42% of our revenues from the US. We have about 10-12% of our revenue in China, 23% from Europe, and then the remaining from the rest of the world. So of all the pharma companies, we're probably the most truly global organizations. And the US business is just growing, it's been growing double digits. So we just expect that business will continue to grow. Not that other parts of the business are shrinking, but it is just growing faster, as is actually the rest of what we call the emerging markets is also growing very fast. So both those things will contribute to getting to almost half of our revenues from the US in the next 5 years.
It's a fair point that growing in the U.S., it doesn't have to come at the expense of, your global presence in other markets. But let's just talk about the listing, because you've seen a lot of companies that are, based overseas, primarily listed overseas, switch their listing to U.S. markets or do something along those lines. And the reasons usually given are that, you think about the U.S. equity market, it's very deep, it's very liquid, and typically you can maybe command a higher multiple than you might receive overseas. And I would just love to hear your experience, having done sort of a similar maneuver yourself, what that has meant for AstraZeneca's share reception and where you think that your stock is still undervalued by the market at this point.
Yeah, so what we did actually, I would say, was quite different from some of the other companies. What they've done is many companies have actually re-domiciled to the US altogether and then listed the stock. What we did was different. We always had a US listing, but it was an ADR. And we basically changed that to ordinary shares. So now the shares that are traded in the New York Stock Exchange, in the London Exchange, and in the Sweden are all exactly the same stock. So there's no concept of ADRs. And it actually took a lot of work to figure out how to do this. So it was less about valuation. It was more about removing some of the friction that comes from having ADRs. There are funds that can't hold ADRs, retail shareholders, etc. So it was more driven by the need to simplify that and have one single security that is traded across the exchanges. That being said, again, the US is a very broad and deep market. Our shareholder base has increased. Today, about 45% of our shareholders are in the US, but again, we also have a very global shareholder base, so we expect that the demand will continue to grow as we grow as a company.
Well, let's talk about what those global shareholders are very focused on right now, and that, of course, is your upcoming GLP-1 pill. Of course, you're due to present data on that pill in the near future, and as you know, probably better than most, it's a very, very competitive landscape when it comes to the weight loss market. So, what are you hoping in terms of the readout? What does your drug need to do to sort of differentiate itself from the pack, which is very well established at this point?
Yeah, so actually data is coming out very soon. It will actually be this weekend because the ADA is happening this weekend, so you will all get to see the data soon. Remember that this is phase 2 data, so it's not a pivotal study. And in phase 2, what we wanted to see is that the drug is as effective as competitors and just as safe. Remember also that what is established in the market today is injectable GLP-1s. It's actually not orals. There's only one oral competitor that is sort of ahead of us, so we have the potential to be second to market if things go well. And then also where our strategy is really differentiated is the combinations. And we have not just a GLP-1, that's not our only product. We have a very broad portfolio of cardiovascular medicines. We actually just launched in the US market a product called Baxfendy. That's the brand name, is Baxdrostat. It is the single innovation that has happened in the hypertension space over the last 30 years. So where we can win is not just the single agent oral GLP-1, which obviously will need to show competitiveness, but also the ability to combine that with our PCSK9, with our hypertension drug, with Farxiga, SGLT2, et cetera. So we have sort of this broad portfolio strategy, not just a single agent strategy.
And let's also talk a little bit about, organic versus inorganic growth, especially when it comes to the weight loss portfolio, because you and I last spoke at the end of April, and it sounded like at the time that you were pretty satisfied with your portfolio when it comes to weight loss. Is that still the case? And are you looking at any M&A, whether it be in weight loss or other parts of the portfolio as well?
So we're always looking at M&A. Last year we actually did 37 BD transactions. And for us, it's not large M&A, but it's filling the gaps in our pipeline and also having a vision towards the future as to what are technologies that will really be important in the future that we may want to get access to or we may want to accelerate. So many of these deals are fairly early stage, maybe early to mid stage. And also we look at, if we acquire something or license something, how do we add value to it? And the oral GLP-1 is a great example. We licensed this product from Echogene, but we really accelerated it. We have to sort out the manufacturing, making all these investments. So it's also a question how we can accelerate it after actually licensing it in.
And before we let you go, but to your point that, AstraZeneca, it's a very global company. Let's talk a little bit about Europe specifically, because there's a lot of concern in Europe right now that new medicines either won't launch there or perhaps will be delayed due to MFN pricing. So I'm wondering whether or not, in your view, there's going to be some drugs from AstraZeneca that you think won't be launched in Europe at all due to some of those factors.
Yeah, look, I think we're working very hard with governments across countries in Europe to figure out, how they can invest more in innovative medicines. They today invest a very small portion of their GDP. We're trying to, argue and make the case that not only is it about, getting the best medicine to patient, but also investments in their countries. Again, not just manufacturing, but clinical trials, researchers, university support, and all these other things that we do in the ecosystem. And we're trying to make the case that countries do need to invest more in innovative medicines to bring, the entire ecosystem to their countries. And that remains a work in progress, but we do hope to, again, bring our medicines to as many patients as possible across the globe.